Alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and welcome all Hadith disciples, YouTubers, and viewers upon the Sunnah to another episode of 5 Minutes of Faida. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillahi, amma ba'd. Live from Toronto, Canada, we want to discuss in this episode a widespread problem among many Muslims. Muslims who actually have been given knowledge by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a great deal of it. Muslims who have just a little bit of knowledge. Muslims who, as we say, faking the funk, who attribute themselves to ilm and to the ulama, but in actuality they're naked. They really don't have ilm in reality. And the Muslim who is a layman or the laywoman, the 9 to 5 Muslim, and that is lack of precision in what you say. People being sloppy, people over generalizing things, people broad brushing things that cannot be broad brushed, generalizing things that need to be made specific. Now, a woman asked the question, how does this benefit the 9 to 5 Muslim on 5 Minutes of Faida? An issue of being precise, being sharp in your wordings, not unrestricting things that are restricted or vice versa. We say, you may make something halal haram, you may make something that is haram halal, you may lose out on one of the rights that Allah has given you because of a fatwa or ruling or something that you yourself say or believe, and it isn't precise. It isn't exactly how it should be. And there are many hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ which teach us to be precise and teach us to be clear in our words and to say exactly what we intend to say by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. From them is the famous hadith of Zayd ibn Thabit radiyallahu ta'ala anhu and many other companions, in which the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he said, نَضَّرَ اللَّهُ امْرَأً سَمِعَ مَقَالَتِي فَوَعَاهَا ثُمَّ أَدَّاهَا كَمَا سَمِعَهَا. He says, may Allah brighten the face of a man who hears what I say, memorizes it, understands it, he grasps it. He says, ثُمَّ أَدَّاهَا كَمَا سَمِعَهَا. Then he passes it on as he heard it. So the Prophet ﷺ, he made a condition for you to receive this barakah, this bahja, and this nadra, this brightness, and this illumination of the face based off of the following things. Number 1 is that you hear the Prophet ﷺ statement. Number 2 is you memorize his statement. And number 3, you pass it on kama sami'aha, as he heard it himself. Another example of this is what is reported by Al-Bara ibn Azib radiyallahu anhu in the Sahih, in which the Prophet ﷺ says, إِذَا أَوَيْتَ إِلَى فِرَاشِكَ. He says, when you want to go to sleep at nighttime, he gave him a dua to say, a supplication to make. And at the end of the dua, the Prophet ﷺ, it says, وَنَبِيِّكَ الَّذِي أَرْسَلْتَ. It says, and I swear, he says, and وَنَبِيِّكَ الَّذِي أَرْسَلْتَ. And also to testify and to bear witness, speaking of the Prophet that you have sent, speaking to Allah, supplicating to Allah. So the man, he said, وَرَسُولِكَ الَّذِي أَرْسَلْتَ. He says, and the Rasul that you have sent. And the Prophet says, La, he says, وَنَبِيِّكَ الَّذِي أَرْسَلْتَ. He says, with the Prophet that you have sent. We may say a prophet and a messenger, sometimes they're synonymous, sometimes they're interchangeable. Every messenger is a prophet, etc. But he corrected him and he told him to say what? Exactly as he heard it. So these are just 2 hadiths among many which prove that the Muslim should be precise in that which you say. Now I don't want to give a fiqh issue that will cause a person to lose out on something and cause a person to go through a hardship and a difficulty because of lack of precision. And this type of precision is the precision that many people, unfortunately ulama, they may lack in what they say. And that is a very widespread concept that you cannot give zakah to those you have to spend on. Zakah is haram to be paid to one's wife, or one's son, or one's daughter. Or if your mother and your father, if you have to take care of them physically, financially, you can't give them the zakah. And the wisdom behind this is clear. Because a person, he may give the zakah with the intention of what? Running away from the nafaqah. He pays the zakat to his wife, and he says, I don't have to give you the other things that you need because I gave you my zakat, which is clearly oppression. That's wrong. The zakat is one thing, and the nafaqah, that's obligatory, mandatory, is another thing. So, is it permissible to give zakat to a family member that you have to spend on? Or is it haram? Is that a precise statement? Is that daqiq? Or is that just a little vague? I'll share the following fatwa with the viewers, bi'idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the time that we have. Question says, سئل شخص تاجر موسر ويريد أن يخرج ماله وله أخ لا تلزمه نفقته وهو طالب علم فقير منزعل عنه هل يحق له أن يعطيه. Is a very wealthy man, a man who's a merchant, he's a big merchant, he has money, and he wishes to pay his zakat. And he wants to give the zakat, the alms, or the tax on his wealth, to a poor brother of his who's a student of knowledge. His brother's a talib ilm, he's poor, he doesn't have his basic needs and necessities. Can he pay the zakat to his brother? Now this brother is not someone who lives with him, it's not someone that he has to take care of. So according to that general vague rule, it would be permissible for him to give him the zakat. What if he did have to take care of his brother? Is it permissible? أجابة اطلعنا على هذا السؤال ونفيد أنه قد جاء في رد المحتار في باب المصرف من الجزء الثاني ضمن كلامه ما نصه وقيد بالولاد لجوازه أي دفع الزكاة لبقية الأقارب كالإخوة والأعمام والأخوال الفقراء بل هم أولى لأنه صلة وصدقة. وفي الظاهرية ويبدأ في الصدقات بالأقارب ثم الموالي ثم الجيران ولو دفع الزكاة إلى من نفقته واجبة عليه من الأقارب جاز إذا لم يحسبها من النفقة. It says here, the mufti that we're going to give his fatwa, it says, we've heard the question, we've read the question, I want to tell you what it says in one of the classical books of one of the 4 schools of thought. This is a very important concept, not to go on too long, and that is that a fatwa should be based off of an ilm. Ilm from the kitab, ilm from the sunnah, ilm from what the sahaba, the pious predecessor said, and what the old ulama in the past said. A fatwa should be something that's hearty and wholesome. It should be what? Hearty and wholesome. Something that yushbi'. It should fill you up. And a person should be convinced with the answer that he hears. So this fatwa is giving you something that's classical. It states in a famous book of the Hanafi school of thought called Raddul Muhtar that when a person is allowed to give zakat to his relatives, such as brothers and sisters, uncles, aunts, people that are poor and they're needy, he says they have more right to one zakat. Yani, instead of you giving your zakat to a stranger, it is better to give your zakat to someone who's your family member. He says here, so if you give your zakat to someone that you must take care of, it is permissible with one condition. And that condition is that if you separate the two. And that you don't consider the zakat, the what? The nafaqah. So in other words, I say to my wife, I say to my son, this is $500 out of my zakat money, and this is your $500 for your what? School. I can't just give him $500 just for zakat and say that's going to cover your school. No. Now that's unlawful. And the reason why the confusion comes is what? Because of lack of what? Precision. It's permissible to give the family member that you have to spend on zakat with the condition that you don't what? Don't consider it to be nafaqah. So therefore, the mufti, he then says, وبهذا علم أنه يجوز للسائل أن يدفع زكاة ماله إلى أخيه الفقير ولو كانت نفقة واجبة عليه متى لم يحتسب ما يدفع من هذه النفقة كما علم أن الدفع إليه أولى وهذا حيث كان الحال كما ذكر بالسؤال والله أعلم. He says, so what we've quoted from this classical book, and it states in another book of the Zahiriyya book, another Hanafi book, it states what? Is that it is permissible for him to give his brother the money, even if he has to take care of his brother, as long as he does not consider the zakat to be what? The nafaqah. As far as if there is a difference, here's the nafaqah, here's the zakat, if there is precision that is made in the ruling, then it's permissible. So look how beautiful this is. The brother gets the money, he needs it. The brother who's rich gets to pay the zakat and also take care of his brother. So now he's going to get a double ajr. He gets more reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So look how much reward you lose out on. Look how many rights a person loses out on because of lack of what? Precision. Diqqa ilmiya. And it's something that we constantly encourage our students and our disciples to have. Be precise in what you say. This fatwa was given by Sheikh Abdul Majid Salim rahimahullah ta'ala in 1937 from the great ulama of Al-Azhar Al-Sharif in those days in the past. This is all the time we have in 5 minutes of faida. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and yulhimana ar-rushda fil aqwali wal amal, to inspire us to do and say that which is best. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.